Today I wanted to talk about some of the different things that I've found, either I've discovered myself or read about online, that help with prototyping when you're building a prototype pinball machine. One of the things I'm going to talk about here right now is these little connectors, these little lever nuts, splice blocks. I don't know how this is pronounced. This particular brand is called either Wago or Wago. I don't know, W-A-G-O. But essentially what they do is, like in this case, this one you can splice together 3 different wires. So it's got these little levers on here that you'll lift up, and when you do that you can insert or remove a wire on that. Essentially the front part here, you've got where you push the wire in. It's got a drop down connector, or thing for holding the pin, not crimping it, but latching the pin in. And then once you put the wire in, there's actually the back side of it is solid where the wire won't come through. You just push it in, you strip enough that it gets good contact on the wire, and then you can latch this back down and it's going to hold that wire securely. You can put those 3 in there and they'll all link together. Pretty handy on that. Now this is just one example. There's multiple you can get with more contacts, less contacts. I found that a 3 would be handy. One of the other type that I've got, if I can locate it here, is an actual splice for one of these. And it's like you put a wire in one end, you run another. If you have to do a temporary splice for some reason, you can just latch it down in place. So they've got a different variety of these. These are really handy for, again, when you're just sitting there going, I'm trying to figure out how something's going to be, and I'm not decided what the permanent arrangement's going to be on it. No, it's pretty handy there. Pretty common. Another thing to keep on hand is Molex connectors or something similar. In this case, I've got like a little 2-pin Molex connector. This is a Mini Fit Junior, and essentially it's got a latching mechanism on this where you can go in, and if I do this right, get the angle on it. Let me get this. It's got a little hook there, you can see, so it's like the male and female linked together. Latches, and you crimp some pins and put in on each side, male on one side, female on the other. Latch it in place, and essentially, again, that's a pretty common type of connector, interconnect on it. Another one that you can look at are these, what they call Phoenix connectors. Essentially, if you pull this apart, you can get these in a number of different pins. Some of them are just pushed together, and then you just kind of push the thing in, just holds. This particular one has a set of screws so that you can hold it together on a more semi-permanent basis. It's again the same thing. They have instead of a lever, they have little screws in here that you can use to pinch down on the wires that go in and come out the other side. Good for temporary or less than temporary connections in those cases. Another type of thing that I keep on hand is for doing things like if you're doing like running some ground wires from here or there. I keep these little ring terminals, crimp type ring terminals on hand. They're pretty convenient. Most everything I'm doing I'm buying in quantity because I know I'm going to be working with a bunch of things. I get a lot of this off from places like AliExpress, Temu would be another one. Let's see, what's another one? Banggood. Let's see, there's actually another place, but it's usually for bigger things that's not quite parts. Alibaba, which I think is like connected to AliExpress. I've ordered from AliExpress and had good luck. I've only had twice that something didn't get sent, and in each case I've gotten a refund on it, and I'm actually pretty happy with their turnaround times right now. They're getting way better on turnaround times. It's getting things, I think it's anywhere up to 2 weeks, which is much better than it used to be. They've gotten pretty efficient. But let's jump into a couple of other things. When you're doing wiring, a lot of times you just you want to keep a little bundle up a series of wires. For that, I just order some little, like in this case, little 4-inch zip ties that I use to bundle the wire. And if I want to basically kind of keep it in place when I've got a bundle running around underneath the playfield temporarily or a little bit less than temporarily, I get these little adhesive pads that you can run that wire tie through, or that zip tie through, and you can put that around the bundle of wires. Another thing for bundling wires is basically a spiral wrap on that. Let's see if I can find the end on the spiral wrap. Probably not easily here in this particular case. But this spiral wrap, you can just kind of expand and contract it to fit on there. And we've got the end on it. So it's just kind of like when you pull it apart, you can see that it'll expand to a certain degree. You wrap that around the wires and it keeps them bundled fairly well together. And you can have, pull it apart enough where a little single wire can come out or a couple wires come out to go to a connector for maybe like a slingshot or something that you're running off, power and ground and whatever else too. That's pretty handy. I keep those, same thing, I get different sizes on this. I think this is like probably maybe, 6 millimeter on this. I've got different sizes going, a couple millimeters apart, going up to like, I think 16 millimeters that I keep those things on hand. And let's see if I've got anything else here that I want to show. I think that on the most part is kind of the great majority of things that I work with. One last little thing I'm going to dip out here just for a second. So when you're soldering components on boards, onto prototype boards, I'm older, I shake a lot, and trying to do surface mount is almost impossible for me because it's just so tiny. I still use through-hole components that I know it's dinosaur technology, but I can work with it. And when I'm doing that, when you want to hold a component in place, I found that this Elmer's removable adhesive tack is quite handy for holding things in place. It's just kind of like a malleable, not quite like clay, but it's sticky like that. And you can hold the components in place while you solder them. And then once you're done, you can remove that and get it out of the way. So it's just another one of the handy things. You're going to accumulate a lot of that kind of stuff for prototype, and you're just going to have a huge amount of equipment and parts and basically raw resources that you're going to need to build one of these. But that's generally where I'm at with this type of stuff. So, and I see my little cat's kind of sneaking around here behind me. Hopefully that was useful to somebody. Maybe you know all of that already, but either way, it's it's again things you're going to learn about as you build a prototype playfield. Hope that was useful.